If you've recently come across Amazon Lightsail, I'm sure you're wondering what it is and what is the purpose behind the service. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly that. So the first part of the video, we're going to look at what Amazon Lightsail is, what is the purpose of the service, and what are some of the use cases of Lightsail. Then the second part, we're going to do a demo so that I show you how you can deploy a simple WordPress website using Lightsail. So let's get started with the slides. So what is Amazon Lightsail? Amazon Lightsail is simply a virtual private server, or VPS in short. And this is one of the recommended ways of getting started with AWS if you're just a beginner. So it's perfect for developers and solopreneurs, small businesses, because unlike other AWS services, it offers the service at a low predictable monthly price. So whenever you launch a service using Lightsail, the price is fixed. It doesn't use the pay-as-you-go pricing model that is usually tied to many of Amazon's other services. But Amazon Lightsail includes everything you need to launch your project quickly on AWS. So what are some of the components that are available in Lightsail? So you have instances. Basically, these are VPS machines. So we have Linux machine, Windows machines, and etc. Then we also have container services. So let's say like Docker, Kubernetes, and the likes. We have managed databases. We have CDNs, load balancers, block storage, static IP addresses, DNS management. The DNS management feature is usually done using a feature called DNS zone. Then we also have resource snapshots, which is basically just a backup. So what are the use cases of Amazon Lightsail? There are two main ways to use Amazon Lightsail. One of them is to deploy websites. So you can deploy your WordPress, Joomla, Ghost, or whatever website on Amazon Lightsail. Another way you can use Lightsail is to deploy a web application. So let's say your main app, your man app, Django, etc. So that's all about Lightsail. But I'm sure you're wondering what's the difference between Lightsail and EC2, given that you can also achieve the same functions using EC2. Well, Amazon Lightsail is integrated with these services. So talk about the databases, the containers, and everything. It comes integrated with those services. But when it comes to EC2 is more of EC2 is an infrastructure as a service, so IaaS. And what this means is basically that you have more responsibilities when it comes to deployment and management of your instance. So when it comes to EC2, you need to basically manually deploy your application. You need to manually set up your operating system. You need to be able to know how to manage your network. You need to be able, if you want to set subnets, you can. But what this freedom does is it gives you more work. It transfers more work to your own end instead of Amazon's. So if you want a simple way to deploy a web application, then Lightsail is the way to go. However, despite the simplicity provided by Lightsail, you need to understand that Lightsail is not suited for high traffic websites. That means that if all of a sudden your website is popular and you need more resources, more compute resources, then you'll have to either upgrade to a more expensive instance. That's one way to go about it. Or you can also manually do it using Amazon EC2 and utilize other features like the auto scaling group, which is available on EC2. So that's all about Lightsail, which concludes the first part of this video. So in the second part, I want to show you how you can deploy a simple WordPress website using Lightsail. So I'm already logged into the console, the Amazon console. So what I'll do, you can just search Lightsail, then select Lightsail from the search results. Okay, so this is Amazon Lightsail now, the specific section of the website. So as you can see, I have no instance right now, but just looking around, you can see that there are several sections available. You can see we have the containers section, the databases section, the networking section, and this is where you set your static IP that you can attach to your instances. We have the storage section, we have the domain and DNS section, then we have the snapshots, and this is where you can be able to set up your backups. So let's go to the instances section, because this is exactly where I want us to start. So to get started, I'll click on create instance, and when you click create instance, you will be able to be presented with a variety of options. In this case, you can see first of all I need to pick an instance image. So there's Linux and there's Windows. Of course I'll use Linux. Then when it comes to the second section, you need to select a blueprint. So if you simply want a VPS machine, then just select operating system only. But if you want an operating system with some website, some application template already installed, then choose the apps plus OS option. And from here you can see that there are different options that are presented to us. You have WordPress, which is selected by default, WordPress multi-site, LAMP, Node.js, Joomla, Magento, Main, and the rest. So in this case, we are going to utilize this first option, WordPress, because I want to show you how you can deploy a simple WordPress application using Lightsail. So Linux is selected. I've selected WordPress. Then in the next section, you can see this is optional, but you can add your shell script that will run the first time it launches. So right here you can put a simple script. So let's say I want to be able to update my binaries once the instance has been launched. I can just enter sudo apt-get update. Then if you want to install some software, so let's say I want to install Node.js. When my instance launches, I'll just say sudo apt-get install Node.js. Or maybe I want to install Nginx, or maybe some other anything that you want to. This is the section where you define the scripts that you want to run once your instance launches. And you don't have to do it here, because once your instance has been launched, you can connect to it and do it right there instead of here. So this is a simple way that Amazon gives you to run launch scripts. So and then here you can set up your SSH key for connecting to your instance. Then in this section, we need to choose a networking type. And the networking type that the dual stack that is selected currently means that our instance will be configured to communicate both over IPv4 and IPv6, or both. However, you can see the IPv6 option is grayed out, so we can't select that. But just keep in mind that as this notification says, IPv4 addresses will start attracting an extra charge. So just keep that in mind. So under the size section, there are several instances that we can select. You can see there is the $3.50. We can select the $5 option. We can select the $10 option. So each of these instances has different capacity, storage, CPUs, and the rest, right? So for our case, I'll just select this option, which will cost $5 per month. So it's 1 gigabyte of memory, 2 vCPUs, 40 GB SSD storage, 2 terabytes to transfer. And then if you need more, if you need more compute capacity, then you can select any of the other options. But for a simple WordPress site, the $5 instance should be enough. So then I need to provide a name. So I'll just say WordPress test. And then for tagging, you can add these options if you want. So once everything has been selected, has been set, then I can now select. Oh, okay, I forgot some option. So if you want to automatically back up your website, this is where you set up the automatic backup or backups, this option. So if you want to automatically back up your website every day, you need to select the enable automatic snapshots option, then choose a specific time when your website will be backed up. But right now this is just a demo, so I don't need that feature. So once everything has been set, I'll create an instance. So just a minute. So my instance is being created. Okay, so just a few minutes. Okay. Let me refresh the page. Okay, so now our instance has been created, and remember we launched this website using I already provided a provided template. So that means that our website is already live. So I'll click on the instance to go to the management page. So this is the IPv4 address, and we can view the website by simply copying that address and pasting it in the browser. So we'll have to waste a few minutes because I think the launch process is still underway. So we'll have to wait for a few more minutes. Okay, so finally, so this is a sample page that is available. So this is a sample website that has been launched on our Lightsail instance. So what I'll do now, and remember, right now all we have is an IPv4 address, but of course you need a domain name so that users can easily remember your website and visit it. So we're going to do that. So now that we have an IPv4 address, how can we attach a domain name to this IP? The simplest way to do that is by pointing our domain to this IP address. And you can do that. So for instance, I already have a domain here purchased on my Namecheap account, and I want to point this domain name to the provided IPv4 address. So one way to do that is by simply adding an a record. So I'll say, I'll delete these options, and I'll add a new record. So we need to add an address record or an a record. Then the host will be at, so the host will be at, and then the IP address will be the IPv4 address from our Lightsail instance. So I've simply copied this address, and this is the one that I'm using as the value to a record. So time to leave, I'll let it be automatic. Then let's save the changes. So done. So right now, if I visit our domain name, you can see there's nothing here because it doesn't point to any IP address. But let's just give it a few minutes, because DNS records can take a few minutes to a few hours to be able to populate. So right now, as you can see, our IP address is the only way we can use to access our website. Even if we want to access our admin dashboard, then we have to do it from here, right? You can see. However, I want us to point this domain name to that IP address, so that instead of typing the IP address in our website in the browser, we can just type the domain name, which is more user friendly compared to the IP address. So I'll wait for a few more minutes. Okay, so finally our DNS record has populated successfully. So now you can see that our website, our domain name, motivatedbunny.com, is pointing to the Lightsail instance that we created in AWS. So right now, we don't need to type this particular domain IP address. All we can do is type the domain name, and our website is accessible. So that's one way to go about it. However, because we also need to set up SSL, I highly recommend that you don't manage your DNS records in your domain provider, or where you bought your domain. Instead, we'll have to do it inside of Amazon Lightsail, and I'll show you how to do it. So In Lightsail, we need to transfer our DNS record management to Lightsail instead of Namecheap. So I'll be able to add Lightsail name servers to Namecheap so that we can manage our DNS records in Lightsail, not in Namecheap. So let us do so. So once you've created your Lightsail instance, click the set up your website option. So the first option is to specify a domain name. So there are two options here. You can see Lightsail managed domain or third-party domain. So if you bought your domain name from Amazon Route 53, then you can choose this option. However, for instance, in my case, my domain name was purchased on Namecheap, so I need to select third-party domain, and I'll just enter the domain name. So I'll enter my domain name here and click use this domain. So DNS zone is the feature that allows us to transfer our DNS record management from a third party provider like Namecheap to AWS to Lightsail. So I'll say create DNS zone, and by creating a DNS zone, I'll be able to manage my DNS records right inside Lightsail instead of Namecheap. And the advantage of this is I'll be able to easily set up the SSL certificate for this domain without a hassle. So first of all, so now that Lightsail has given us the name servers, I'll simply copy this and paste them to Namecheap. So instead of Namecheap, the basic DNS as the name servers, I'll choose custom DNS, then paste the first. So second, I'll choose that, then I'll paste that here. Then the third option, and paste that here. Then the fourth option, and paste that here. So then let me click the tick icon to save the changes. As the notification says, DNS server update may take up to 48 hours to take place. So that's the longest time it will take, but it actually takes less time than that in reality, because now I've deployed several websites and it usually populates just after a few minutes. So you just have to wait for a few more minutes. And so after we've added the name servers to Namecheap, then I'll just click continue. Then the next step is to create a static IP address. And what a static IP address does is that whenever we stop our instance or restart it, the IP address of the instance won't change. And the advantage here is that it ensures that we have one single IP address that we can use to access our Lightsail instance, instead of the IP addresses changing every time you restart your instance. So I'll name this static IP. Then I'll create static IP. So we've successfully created and attached the static IP to our Lightsail instance. So the next part is to manage domain assignments. So I'll create the first one by clicking add assignment, then selecting domain name. So I'll wait for a few seconds. Then DNS zone automatically creates an A record for you and an AAA record. So this one is usually for IPv6 addresses. Then the next part, just click continue. So now we need to create an SSL TLS certificate so that our website can only be accessed via HTTPS. So I'll create I authorized Lightsail to configure a Lightsail script certificate. Then we'll choose our domain name. So that's the domain that we added. And I'll need to enter an email address. So I'll just create a dummy. I'll just select a dummy email. Just a minute. So that's the email. Paste that email right here. Then click create certificate. So now we wait. Our certificate is being created. And this can take up to 15 minutes according to this notification right here. Configuring TLS certificate. Okay, so we'll have to wait for a few minutes before the certificate is created. Finally, after a few hours, I had to stop recording the video for the name server records to populate. But now everything is set up. So if I click go to website, you can see the website now loads. The domain name is now pointing to our static IP address. And the static IP address is the one that we set while setting up our WordPress sites. So now that everything is set up, you can see that our website now has the SSL encryption. You can see we are now accessing the website over HTTPS, which is secure. In this moment moving forward, now you can be able to access the admin panel by simply typing wp-admin, just the way you normally do. You need to enter your username here, then of course a password. But now, where can you find the password? So when you scroll down this page, you can see that there's this section named WordPress credentials. This is the section where you can find your default username, and the default username is user. Then the default password is not usually revealed here. So you need to use Cloud Shell, which is simply a terminal by AWS that you can use to easily access your instances, your cloud resources over the command line. So let us wait for it to connect. So now our environment is almost ready. So our environment has now been set up. So you can run a simple command. Okay, everything is now set up. So the next thing that you need to do is to copy this command. So I'll copy this command, paste it in our shell, then choose paste. Then I'll click enter to run the command. So once the command has run, I'll be able to see my WordPress admin, my default password So this one right here, this is the default admin password that I can use to log into WordPress. Sorry. So I will copy the password. So the next thing that I'll do, I'll come over to this particular page. I'll paste that password and click login. So now, as you can see, I've been able to log into my WordPress dashboard. So from this moment forward, you just need to update your WordPress version. That is, if you're presented with a new version. So I'll just click update now to update my WordPress version to 6.5. Of course, your experience will be different. Maybe the default template will be running the latest version of WordPress, so you don't need to do this. So WordPress has successfully been updated. Then the next thing is to go to the plugin section. And there you have different plugins that also need to be updated. So I just choose update, then click apply. And WordPress will update any plugin that requires an update one by one. So we just wait for the process to continue. So the last one, okay, now done. So if you now want to maybe create a page, you can just go to the pages section. For instance, this privacy policy is currently a draft page, but I can just quick edit this and change it to a published page. So when I click update, I should now be able to see this page by going to /privacy policy. So let me look for, so this one, let me just go directly via this link. So as you can now see, this is our privacy policy page, which is accessible. So from this moment forward, you can continue to work with the WordPress site like you normally do. Now that I've finished, I want to delete the WordPress website and everything related to it, so that I'm not charged the $3.5 after the 3 months that AWS has given me for a free trial. So what I'm going to do is first to stop the instance, and that usually takes a few minutes. So you can see instance status stopping. So just wait for a few more minutes for the instance to stop. Then after that, we'll be able to terminate the instance. When you're working with any AWS resources, it's important that after you stop the instance, you also terminate it. In other words, you also delete it, because if you just stop the instance, you're still using some cloud resources and you may still have to pay for it at the end of the month. So to be on the safer side and to avoid any charges, kindly when you stop an instance, just terminate it also. So we'll have to wait for a few more minutes. Let me reload the page. So our instance status is now set to stopped. So our instance has stopped. So what I'm going to do now is to delete my instance. So yes, delete. So my instance has now been deleted, but we've not cleared everything yet. I also need to navigate to the networking section. I need to delete this static IP address. In case you didn't know, Amazon actually charges you for using static IP addresses. So I also need to delete this static IP. Because when you create a static IP address, you're basically reserving an IP address that will be used only for your specific resources. And that means that no one else can use that static IP address. It's only tied to your specific resource. That's why Amazon charges you for it. But if you use dynamic IP address, which is actually not recommended if you're running a production website, it doesn't cost you anything. So I'll just navigate to this section. I also need to delete my DNS zone. So done. Also, if you created some backups, you also need to come over here and delete any snapshots or backups. So just cross checking that there's nothing else related to that instance. Containers, now we didn't create any instances. So we've cleared all the resources that were required for our instance to run. So now that we've finished clearing our instance, that everything related to it, I'll end this video right now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.